Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center?
At one time, we were told to flush unused drugs down the toilet, but new studies, including one done here in Tennessee, show this is a practice that needs to stop.
Your H2O may contain caffeine, hand sanitizers, ibuprofen, Prozac, and insect repellent.
These are compounds that typically aren't monitored in drinking water.
They're getting in our water through our waste, but a common habit could also be contributing. The habit of flushing unwanted and unused drugs.
I think that the average...
So the pathway from the toilet to the stream is pretty direct, and that's a quote from the hydrologist with the U.S. Geological Survey. Well, isn't that special? All right, now another clip sent to us by none other than Alex Jones. This is about the elite and how they like to operate out in the open. Always entertaining and informative. Here's a short clip by none other than Alex Jones.
I think about how beautiful this planet is and how blessed we are, all of us, to live on it. And I think about the globalists who have cast themselves as the heroes and who claim they're defending the planet, even as they destroy it. And I'm very sad. You think about the innocence of children. I know it makes me angry. The New World Order revels in corruption, revels in oppression, and in scientifically obliterating humanity. In their own writings, they brag about it. And I think about how fast they're moving, how they're trying to break our will right now, letting John Corzine steal all those billions of dollars and be caught lying and didn't get in trouble. I think about how the Washington Post now just brags and admits the Bilderberg Group basically vets and chooses the two-party major candidates, decide who's going to get the funding and the media coverage to get in there. I think about how extrajudicially people didn't believe that the NDAA would allow secret arrest and imprisonment of Americans, and then now it's just admitted. I also think about how the IRS is trying to get legislation passed. It's passed the Senate, it's in the House, to let them take your passport and not let you travel if they say you haven't paid taxes. No judge, no jury, no due process. Then they're a Federal Reserve collection agency on top of it. Don't even fund the country. And now I've read the new legislation where it says that they can just arbitrarily ban your Second Amendment, not let you buy guns, confiscate it. And I see some of the commenters, even though we have a link to the article in the legislation, in denial about it. I mean, look at how the government admits they're spying on us without warrants. Look at the admissions of torture, all of it. I mean, it's all happening, and it's going to get worse. But I know why some people, the minority, are in denial. They just can't admit to themselves that I've been right, that Ron Paul's been right. They just can't do it because they don't respect themselves. They don't think they have any power to stop it or resist it. But just think about all the crazy stuff that's out in the open now and ask yourself how much crazier it's going to get. I mean, my God. The IRS just says they'll just come take your guns if they want. Not even in a seizure. They'll just say, well, we've decided you can't have a gun. That's that no gun buy list Rahm Emanuel talked about. I mean, what a slimy crook. And we even linked to the video in an earlier video. It's the featured video on Infowars.com and our YouTube channel. Listen to that bullfrog. People are just in so much denial. Well, not me. I'd want to know the whole truth and make preparation for it. I wonder if you're making preparation for it, because these guys are going ahead with everything. And it's going to only get worse. And if you think Mitt Romney's going to save you, you're just like the idiots that thought Obama was going to save you. It'll only get progressively worse till we reverse it, because these people are tyrants and they're bought and paid for. Alex Jones signing off for Infowars.com.
And that brings us to the quote of the day, this one by John D. Rockefeller, where he says, "I would rather earn 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own efforts." Well, tell us how you really feel, you arrogant bastard. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Kristen Canty. Now, she is the producer and director of this new hard-hitting documentary, Farmageddon, as our rights to have access to the fresh and healthy foods of our choice, well, it's really under brutal attack by the federal government. Kristen Canty and a look at Farmageddon when we return right after this. Stick around.
Since 2006, something odd and alarming has been happening to commercial beehives throughout the United States. Beekeepers returning to these hives find that the bees are completely gone, vanished, without a trace. This phenomenon has been labeled CCD, or colony collapse disorder. CCD typically occurs in early winter or spring, when the bees that leave the hive to go foraging for pollen simply do not return. The hives appear to be normal, with active queens, developing many brood, with ample food stores. They just simply leave and don't come back. This pattern is followed by the rest of the hive, and with no apparent reason. The vacant hives have had active queens developing many brood, and the hives are well stocked with food and has been reported to have affected nearly 1/3 of all commercially managed hives. This is particularly disturbing when you consider that 76% of all food production and 84% of all plant species rely on bees for pollination.
All right, today it's the 21st of April, and there was some propaganda called Coney 2012, and they had a thing called Cover the Night, where they tried to get kids from around the United States and from around the world to go and post all this Coney 2012 propaganda all over, and they used the date 4/20.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I may only be 20 years old, but I can see what is going on in our country. I have one of these because the government can't and won't protect you. We are now a nation known as Star Wars. We feel compelled because of our insecurity that we have to go over to these other countries to maintain our empire. I'd like you to see what I see. This is important, so please pay attention. Basically, our country and way of life is under attack. Our government has been undermined by a group of criminals. I know that sounds unlikely, but if you look at the facts, it's plain as day.
There's been many reports about attempts to sabotage the Ron Paul campaign from within the party, and as a delegate in my district, I was able to witness it firsthand. When chairwoman of the caucus, Michelle St. Pierre, went to conduct the day's business, it was discovered that the materials necessary to conduct the day's election of delegates were removed from the building.
Since I was elected and democratically elected, suddenly we weren't the Republican Party anymore, even though, I mean, we should have been. There's no reason that just because someone else is elected doesn't mean we suddenly are not the Republican Party. We just have a different chair. So I was really surprised when they decided to take the ballots and remove them from our use.
Witnesses report seeing Lisa Shin, the King County Republican Party's office executive director, removing materials from the building.
There was an Asian woman wearing a black and white striped shirt with a white watch. Things were not going well the way that they wanted them to, and they responded childishly and removed what they considered supplies from the area in a very strange manner.
When Michael Vandenbos, the man responsible for distributing the ballots, confronted Lisa Shin, she told him she was nothing more than a volunteer.
Someone made a motion to say, you know, who is responsible for the voting box, the voting, you know, tally machine and the ballots, and I saw someone point to a gal named Lisa Shin. So I approached her. That was my job to approach her. I said, hi. I said, my understanding is that you have the ballot material and the counting machine. And she just said, I'm just a spectator. I need a volunteer here. And I thought, well, maybe I'd been misinformed. But then I found her that she went up and started talking with Glenn Avery, and apparently she was the person who had the materials. And I was told later that that she had taken the voting box and the ballots outside of the building after their chairman wasn't elected.
Thanks for watching. My name is Sean Wright, independent journalist, reporting for InfoWars. I am reporting from Minneapolis, Minnesota, also known as the Midwest Civil Unrest. Today we're talking about the stories of loss of liberty and what that means to us. They're passing laws that violate our Fourth Amendment rights and every other amendment we have. So they're capitalizing on the limiting of free speech, saying who can say what and where they can say what. I'm sitting here with filmmakers David Crowley and Danny Mason working on the project Gray State. So can you guys please tell me, what is the Gray State?
Thank you, Sean. Good to be on your show. The Gray State essentially is, like you said, what happens after the police state. So we all recognize these trends that happen day to day, the loss of liberty that we kind of just gloss over because there's something better on TV. So if no one steps in to prevent these things, I mean, bringing the issues to the light, like what Ron Paul's campaign is doing, or what these other patriots like Alex Jones are doing, is they're bringing to light these very real issues that if they go unchecked, they create what we're kind of terming as the gray state. So if the people do not exercise their rights at this time, the rights are taken away. Soon this gray state will exist, and they'll be powerless to stop it, except through revolution, which is, of course, something we don't really want. We want a revolution of the mind, not of the musket.
Stand here with Ron Paul. Ron Paul, the question today is, what were you going to do if you got as president of the United States? What would you do against Agenda 21 of the United Nations?
Well, I'd like to get out of the United Nations. What I'd like to do is I wouldn't want to have any attack on our national sovereignty, and that's what Agenda 21 does. And I think it's a threat right now. They talk about currency reform because they know what we know, that the currency's in trouble. They'd like to do it under the United Nations. And I complained tonight in my speech that our president thinks you can go to war under the United Nations. So whether it's at 21, this is just a further step. And not only do I believe in local sovereignty, individual sovereignty, state sovereignty, and minimal federal government, I just don't think that we should put up with more loss of sovereignty to an international government.
More and more people are becoming aware that their freedom to choose the food they want is it's in serious danger. And that brings us to our guest, Kristen Canty. She is the director and producer of the new hard-hitting documentary, over here. It's called Farmageddon. And this film really exposes how the federal government is beginning to seize control of the food retail system. And before we bring her on, we're actually going to take a look at the official trailer. The film is available, by the way, on our website. You can purchase this at InfoWarsShop.com at a discounted price. Here's a look at Farmageddon, the unseen war on America Family Farms.
What I saw from at the top of the stairs was a man right here around the corner with his arm like this and a gun pointing up at me.
They even took the sheep that I had brought over from New Zealand, and they took them out to Iowa and they killed them for a disease that doesn't exist to this day.
They're actually going onto the farm and telling farmers how to grow things.
Raw milk from South Carolina, USDA grade licensed dairy, a imminent health hazard according to the state of Georgia.